So first of all, let's understand the entire design organizational structure from the start till the end. Just remember to watch this video till the end because there are lots of secret tips in the middle somewhere. As soon as you enter the industry right after college, you are given the position of a trainee. You can also call it assistant designer or design assistant, where you're actually learning the first initial stages of aspects of the industry. At the same time, you are actually working or reporting under a designer or a senior designer. Why? Because you need some direction. In terms of your work profile, you actually look into assisting the designer who's actually creating a collection. So basically, you might just be doing some very little clerical kind of jobs, but remember, everybody has to do that. Do not take it personally if you've been asked to cut swatches or to make folders. Don't worry about that because everybody in every stage of their position are actually doing the same thing when required. Do it as an excitement, do it as an opportunity so you can learn out of that. And then the next level is junior designer, where it is very similar to a trainee, but now you actually know the nitty-gritties of how things work. Maybe after 1 or 2 years of being an assistant designer or somebody, you can actually become a junior designer where you can now start looking at a bigger aspect of the collection. In many brands, there are categories, different categories segregated. So, like for example, if you're working in a brand, you may have categories like tops, bottoms, outerwear, innerwear, sleepwear, etc. And the structure is made in such a way that each designer or a team is actually allocated to look into that business. For example, there's a team or there's an appointed designer who's looking into any categories. A designer is actually looking into the entire portfolio of that collection. But on the other hand, the junior designer is actually assisting the designer to create that collection. Maybe a fraction of the collection is actually done by junior designers. So junior designers actually are working on those capsule collections, which actually finally culminates into an entire category of a collection. Then comes the designer. The designer actually looks into the entire collection as a whole. The designer also gets into the range plan of that category. The designer also looks into the details of what the juniors have done, what the junior designers or the trainees have done for the collection and put them together, communicates further and interacts with the other departments like sales or marketing or merchandising, where all the category needs the push, where all others can actually contribute into the creation of the collection. Then comes senior designer. A senior designer actually has to look into multiple categories. Let's say if a brand again is looking at menswear, women's wear, and then multiple categories are there for men's shirts, bottoms, jackets, outerwear. So a senior designer actually now starts looking at multiple categories, like maybe the entire bottoms category or the entire shirts and t-shirts come to a senior designer. Then comes the design head. A design head is actually the one who looks into the entire brand, the entire portfolio of that brand. Now this design head position actually looks into all the categories. Now all the categories that have been worked by senior designers or designers, the design head actually puts into the ideation of the brand, the call for the season, after the interaction with sales and trends and understanding everything. The designer and the senior designer also does the trend research and everything, but then the design head actually takes care of it as a holistic picture for the brand. So now the design head is actually looking into the entire categories of men, women, and all the categories within, let's say men, women, or kids, or whatever the categories are, whatever the big portfolios are. So design head looks into that. Then comes the next level, which is creative director. A creative director actually looks into the entire creativity of the organization. He is responsible of whatever that goes out of that organization has to be creatively, aesthetically to the point or way superior. So a creative director does not actually look into the collection or the garmenting or the garment collection, but also entirely looks into the marketing strategy, how the communication is going to be, how the advertisements and the entire communication to the stores is going to be. Now, time for tips. Tip number 1. What you need to do is always watch and try to perform what your immediate senior is actually doing. If you are, let's say, for example, if you are a junior designer and you've been appointed to, let's say, cut swatches, make a catalog for example. And now you're seeing that your senior, who's a junior designer or is a designer, is actually working on a collection. So apart from what you have been given as a responsibility, start working as soon as possible. Start taking the responsibility and the ownership of what the designer is also doing. So be a part of the collection and offer more help and try to deliver more what your senior is doing. If your senior is growing, only then your growth will happen. So it's a give and take kind of a thing. If your support is really helping your senior and your senior is actually getting promoted, that's where you get the chance of getting promoted further. And similarly, understand this thing that only if you have started delivering what your senior is actually doing is the time for your promotion. And do not expect that you're actually doing nothing and you're just doing what you've been given to do and you'll get promoted. No, I don't think so. That doesn't work anywhere. Tip number 2 is many designers have this idea of keeping their designs or their creativity close to themselves. They have this fear of people copying their ideas and people copying their concepts or ideas. You're not going to lose anything. I mean, I come from that understanding where if somebody is really copying your ideas, well, hey, congratulations, I think your ideas are really good. That's why somebody is actually trying to copy your ideas. And then you can see your that particular idea growing or being done by somebody else. Meanwhile, you develop further more ideas. You can always move forward. You should not be stuck to just one idea where somebody has actually copied that and now you're feeling... for a creative mind, I think there's limitless way of coming out with ideas. So yeah, don't keep your ideas within yourself. Tip number 3, remember this. Forget about politics, forget about bureaucracy in an organization. You will see it everywhere. Don't think that, okay, this company where I'm working right now has bureaucracy or has politics going on. People are manipulating and trying to get their work done from you or something. Don't think like that, because, and if you feel that, okay, I'll join another company and I'll not get that, sorry, you're wrong. It happens everywhere, all over the world. Try it anywhere. That's my hands-on experience. That's all. That's what I hear from all of my friends. The only way is just by believing that there actually is no politics and you just keep delivering your own work. Okay. Just keep working on your ideas. Just keep working on what you are supposed to do. Tip number 4. This one is fun. It's more like a battle between designers and merchandisers. Remember, designers are going to create beautiful collection, but merchandisers are actually going to pull you down and bring you back to reality, saying that, hey, listen, whatever you've just designed is actually going to cost us a lot. And I don't think anybody is going to buy it in the stores once it is done. So how about this? How about we reduce the buttons or some details and we still have the aesthetics of the garment intact? And then you say, no, I want it like that. And then you get into that argument. Now you have to find that sweet spot. As a designer, you have to find that sweet spot where it is satisfying the practicalities of bulk production. I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you don't understand this thing, please leave your comments in the comment section below that you don't understand what is bulk production. But it's totally okay. I'm talking to everybody at the moment. So yes, so a merchant will always come up saying that maybe that button that you've used in that garment is super expensive and our brand cannot really afford that button. How about we use a plastic button instead of that metal button? So then you kind of give it a nod and say, yeah, yes, okay, but can we see some options? And then, you come up to that sweet spot where your materials that you've used, the construction details that you've used, all that matches up. So you will have that tiff between a merchandiser, your merchandiser. So just remember, he's your partner in this entire season's crime. Okay. So work together, figure out and learn from each other. You put in your inputs in terms of creativity and trends and whatever that needs to be added in that garment. You keep that. You should not submit to what your merchandiser is totally saying. You also need to keep your stand and say that I want this detail to be here. Why can't we do that? Or why can't we keep that option? What are the other options that we can do to maintain this aesthetic? So yeah, these were my tips for today and for your growth ladder. I hope you've learned a lot, and whatever doubts you have, feel free and write to me and let's just discuss it over and let's figure this out together. I hope you've seen my previous videos where I'm talking about what all happens in the career of a designer, his design journey and all the secret tips. I think you should have a look at that and and there's a lot of learning in that. I hope you've benefited from this video, and I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts about these? If you're a senior in an industry right now, I would love to hear if there are additional things, because what I've shared right now is totally from my experience. Everybody's welcome to add their feedbacks. Everybody's welcome to have questions, share their questions, and we're going to answer it and we're going to figure it out together. So yes, see you in the next one. Cheers.